All right, hi guys. Welcome to your last talk of the night. My name's Lucas. I'm going to be presenting some open source intelligence. I'm here with the Physical Security Village. We're just in the other room over there. So what is OSINT? OSINT's basically any information you can find online without having to, hack into an account, create a log of you looking at it. It's really zero touch, and it makes it really easy to get into because you don't have to have any experience with coding or anything like that. You just have to know how to, if you ever looked up your, high school crush, you basically have enough skills to do it. So here are some resources that you can use to start an OSINT investigation. My favorite here is LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is my favorite data source because A, your company posts about you, and then B, you post about you and your company. So especially with the recent tech layoffs, a lot of people like posting, oh, I worked here for 30 years, here's a picture of my badge and my workspace. Well, that badge, I can make a copy of it and then social engineer my way into your workspace, which, you probably would like because you just got fired by them. For younger people, though, it's usually TikTok and Snapchat. Snapchat's really useful because it has location services. So in missing persons investigations, it's really useful because you can see this person posted this story at this place. And then for TikTok, you got this video of their surroundings. Oh, there's a car in the background. There's this, what's outside the window. And then you can start making, geographic investigation of let's try and, get idea of where they are. So I'm going to go over a couple tools. There's so many tools out there for OSINT, and you can also, of course, create your own. But these are three that I use pretty frequently, and then I'll cover another one when I go over physical sites. So Maltego it's a really great one if you have a lot of money. There's a lot of different, it's called transforms, you can pay for, and then you get access to databases to query from. You put in a username, you put in a domain address, or even someone's first name, and then you can find accounts linked to that. Of course, there's going to be false positives. There's going to be, irrelevant data, but that's, where your analysts will come into play. It's great for creating leads when you're stuck and you have no idea where to go because, I don't even know where some of these things come from, but hey, they're there and they work. Who is? This one's a bit more simple. It's just a web-based version to, ping a server and it translates a domain name to that server IP, and you can get DNS records and registrar data. And then last for this section, Shodan. So it's really useful after going from who is. You can take that server IP, put it in there, and then you can get the server approximate location. You can find out what technologies are running on that server, as well as it will list with those technologies what version, if they can find it, if there's any vulnerabilities that are still open for that. So it basically gives you your recipe book of how to break into this server. It's really useful for and known for IP cameras and industrial facilities. You can mess with SCADA stuff from this website. You can just browse it. They have categories and stuff like that. So I'm going to do a demo. This is going to be a bit of a interesting thing to do because I have to look over here. Does someone want to guide me, perhaps? All right. Am I on the second tab here? All right. I believe this is, what is this? Is this who is? Awesome. So I ran a scan on a website called psv.org or physsec.org. And what you can find here is, I don't know what tab I'm on, actually. I think these are the DNS records, if I remember correctly. So there's going to be an IP listed down here. You guys can see that, yeah? So with that, you can plug that into Shodan. Okay. Is that Shodan right there? That might work. And what you can find here is it shows the open ports and the, based on the IP address, you can find a generic location. But what I'm really interested in is those technologies that are listed with version numbers and stuff like that, because it gives CVEs and those exploits that you can use to try running against that server if you want to bring this from OSINT to no longer OSINT, trying to break into something. All right, let's switch back to, does anyone have any questions on that? Okay. Am I on the right note? Perfect. All right. So next up, this is just an example of an OSINT framework. So this is basically your instruction set on how to not run down rabbit holes. So very often when you're doing an investigation, it's really easy to just click like the next button for like 5 hours and you realize the sun's up and like, what have I been doing? So this is really useful for, you spend maybe 30 minutes to an hour on each one of these points and then move on, because let's face it, there's so much information out there, you're not gonna be able to find everything. So you might as well find these important points that will help your investigation more than, maybe finding that one, golden egg. So I'm going to transition to locations. So these techniques will be more helpful if you're trying to make a report on a physical location that, that you're going to want to, create an investigation on. So here are some search terms you can use in Google. It's Google dorking. I'm not going to go through this in huge detail, but you can put a location name and then filter by file type or keywords. So you just put the quotes around the word, and you'll find stuff based on that search. For all intents and purposes, I'm going to show. Is it this slide? So here's an example of a search. It's from I just searched up PDF for master lock, and as you can see at the red arrow, there's something that seems to be from their internal network that says restricted. So I don't know if that's supposed to be there, but I found it, and I thought that would be an interesting thing to add here. So another example, I looked up Masterlock's address, and I turned up a document saying what they want to do when they fire you. So they permanently displace you. I don't know why this is also out there, but it's there too. It could be useful. And then a third. Whoa, I am going backwards. Okay, so this example is really useful for social engineering. So it's a document that describes interaction between, I think it's Department of Natural Resources of Milwaukee and Masterlock, and it shows that they were on site. Here are some contacts to reach out if you have any further questions to Milwaukee. It shows the contacts for both sides. So I know who to contact inside of Masterlock to say, hey, I'm part of DNR. I wanted to follow you up on this thing. Can I meet you on site? And you don't have to like meet up with this person, but that might gain access to that site. And then also, you could do the opposite and say, hey, I'm from Masterlock. I was told to contact you. Why don't we set up a meeting? And this could be used for a number of nefarious purposes. So, so here's some applied OSINT. So I did some investigations with, for human trafficking with a volunteer open source intelligence group. I can't really get into details, but this is the inside of one of those places. And what you can find, which is helpful to have actionable intelligence, is let's see. So you see the 3 rooms there. It's really useful to try to put together your own floor plan, especially if it's not available online. So, for example, if you can see the image in the middle, there's that monitor in the back. If you can make that out, I think I have that circled as well. That shows that that person has full view of those cameras, and wherever they are, they can see what's going on in that room, even if the door's closed. And then in the third photo, you can see actually one of those cameras in the hallway. So for the next slide, you can see the outdoor, and I've labeled what those cameras can see and what that monitor would probably show that person that's inside. And this is really useful for, let's say, law enforcement who's going to conduct a raid. It shows all possible places that you should avoid, or if you need to, move quickly. And then to continue on the outside, if you don't have any pictures, so I'm going to go back some slides. This one, those photos, I found on Google Maps. Someone made a review and said, this place is really good. So they posted these pictures, and they're really useful. Not in the way they probably thought. So to continue with this, those red circles there are showing different HVAC units to show that there are 4 different individual rooms that they have to, like, let's say law enforcement has to clear. This is really useful as well to support that floor plan. Do you have any questions? I think I'm missing some slides, but that's all good. Yeah.
Your shirt, tell me about it.
My shirt. All right, so I saw this online. Let's say I was doing OSINT, yeah? And I just had to buy it, you know? It looked really funny. I think you guys probably appreciate it. Huh?
I picked up on it.
Yeah, thank you. In the back.
Do you ever use any of the Michael Bazell Intel Techniques tools and stuff? Or any
So
books?
I have his book. So the question was, have I ever used Michael Bazell's techniques and tools?
Yeah.
So some of them are, I don't have that much experience with them, but I've heard great things. And
I've learned tremendous, like more than probably all my other books combined.
yeah, I would highly recommend Michael Bazzell for getting started in OSINT.
How about like breach data for?
So breach data is, it's a little bit of a gray area because yes, it's OSINT, but
Oh, I'm talking like openly available.
openly available.
Publicly available.
Yeah, that's free game. Honestly, if you find something that's actionable based on those breach databases, go for it. As long as you're not using that breach data
Yeah, the
to
log-
access something you're not supposed to.
That's the line.
Yeah.
Of the legal, but
Yeah. Google Street View is really useful until the images get really blurry. I would recommend Bing, which is kind of funny. So Bing has this thing called, I think, Bird's Eye, and it is the highest quality images I think I've ever seen from like open, satellite imagery. You get you can go at a 45-degree angle, 90-degree, and it's really high quality. So actually, if I go back for this image, this is Bing. So on Google, it just looked like a gray blob. It's not very useful. And it just shows, the business name in really big, bold. You couldn't really see anything. Bing is really great for that. Additionally, I find that Yandex is really good for, like, if you just look up, like, let's say Fort Knox, right? It'll come up with a lot of keywords if you go from searching images to just searching the web. Come up with the keywords that you can use to narrow your search if you're looking for something that looks like Fort Knox but isn't Fort Knox. So you don't, like, if you don't even know where to start for an image search. Yandex? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever used GIS for pop-ups?
So I have, sorry?
And the property taxes and everything that go on?
So property taxes, that goes a bit into like my AML friends, so anti-money laundering. They love doing that, and forensic accountants. That stuff is not necessarily my forte, but I have dabbled a little bit. Most states will have their own databases for taxes and other records. They're really useful, and some of the investigations that I've done with people who are good at that, you get scary detail. I would highly recommend, if you have your own business, try looking it up in these .gov addresses, and you could find some pretty interesting things that you might not think would be open. And for GIS software, I do a little bit with that. So Google Earth Pro, I unfortunately don't have a license to ArcGIS, but I'm working on that.
So like in Wisconsin, like every county will have GIS just off their county government.
Oh, absolutely.
And look at everything, and then also tie that in with Edgar for the SEC. So if
Yep.
it's a business, then you can pull the business records through it.
So the response to that was you could pull, you could use GIS and then use Edgar to build off of that, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, especially like for the massage place and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can find out more background from it.
Absolutely.
They have to file their property taxes. They have to pay that. Whose ownership of the building? So you pull that from GIS. You also get an outlay of additional documents if they were
Absolutely. Um, is there anything else you want to follow up with that, or?
No, I'm sorry.
All good, all good.
You got me going.
Since I have some extra time,
Getting creative stuff.
yeah. Since I have some extra time, I think I'm going to try and reclaim my lost slides. So bear with me while I try to change the display settings. All right. Duplicates. Actually, I'm going to undo that because I don't want you guys to see my drive. Let's see, reverts. All right. Okay, cool. So, for context, I forgot, they're not even slides. Okay, so let me share my screen. I found this really interesting business card by the name of Eric, and I found some interesting information. Oh, you might be in the crowd. Interesting. And I found some interesting information on his company based off of just the address listed on the business card. So let me share my screen again. Duplicate. Keep changes. All right, can you guys see this now? All right, so Mr. Eric here works at National Bank of Canada, Toronto. So what you can do is I have the address highlighted there in blue, and I pop that into Google search, and I put file type PDF. Now, when you put file type PDF, a lot of places like to list, like if you're going to try renting a building, you can find, floor plans, layouts, stuff like that, and we'll see that pretty soon. So, moving on to the first one. So this is just a leasing contract that Bentall Green Oak posted, and it has a lot of information about this building, including the layout of certain floors. So this is floor 12. However, this is a high-rise, and most high-rises don't really vary in shape going up. That would be kind of weird. So you can see a general layout of every floor here. The stairs, if I can hover around there, your mechanical rooms, and then also elevators. So you can see potential areas of access that you might want to exploit for different floors. And then further on, you can see the specific sections. So you see in the top left, it's gray there. That's a section of the floor, and you get more specific dimensions. And you see there's another staircase and elevator here. Moving on, here's another layout. This is a smaller layout, a subsection of the building. However, you can see the tenants here. That's interesting because what if you were interested in finding information on one of those tenants? That is all open to you. And then, of course, you can go to the, go through forensic accounting and stuff like that through .gov websites, looking up that, and have this as well. And then finally, here's the building schematic for the underground parking lot. Now, there's probably a lot of useful things to do with this. I'm not qualified to answer those. But you can see, again, elevator shafts, services, and just mechanical rooms. So those, what if you wanted to shut off the power to the whole building? Well, you could maybe do it there. You could check it out. And this is just a great place to start and start your investigation and start your case. So all of that I found in about 3 Google searches maybe. So that just shows you how much power you could have with open source intelligence. All right, yeah, question?
So you mentioned a little bit about doing some work in human trafficking, sex trafficking, and a lot of talking about exploitation.
Correct.
But could you talk to any of the other side, maybe doing OSINT for good?
OSINT for good. Well, I hope you didn't think that I was doing OSINT for human trafficking on the bad side. Yeah, I'm doing it for good. In what context do you mean, like privacy?
You could share, I know you can't share that, but is there anything else that you've seen or you've heard?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So there's some great groups I work with. There's one, ATII, Anti-Human Trafficking Intelligence Initiative. They work a lot with the dark web, and they have a cool tool called Hades, and it strips all the images from CSAM websites, if you're familiar with the acronym, and it shows the identifiers and metadata of those images, so you can create profiles of, let's say, someone who's really active with like sex crimes and stuff like that. You can create a profile and then work on that and really dig into it and submit that to law enforcement and hopefully make a case. Additionally, there's places like Trace Labs. I love Trace Labs. They're a crowdsourced OSINT initiative where every, I would say, few months or so, they put out a CTF where you get profiles of missing people. And these missing people are usually from departments, like police departments, that don't have the resources to fund investigations themselves. And you supplement them with so much information based off of a couple searches, like on Instagram or Facebook. But you can find so much information from a fresh set of eyes rather than the 2 investigators for a whole county. I would highly recommend starting there. They're a great entry-level OSINT place where you can do good, for sure. Yep.
Are you based in Milwaukee? Sorry, I walked in a little late. I didn't.
All good. The question was if I'm based in Milwaukee. No, I'm from New York. I go to Marist College.
How can one get into some of these organizations and start doing OSINT
So the
similar entities like CSAM stuff?
Yeah. The question was how to gain entry to these organizations to start helping. Honestly, all of them are asking for help. So for some of them, more sensitive information, you might have to fill out an application and they might have to screen you and stuff like that. But Trace Labs, you can literally just, I think, pay $5 to enter their CTFs, or you could join their Discord. They have ongoing operations, which means they're not running a CTF, but hey, here are some missing people that you could try and find.
Do you have any other recommendations for or the company you work with?
I would say Trace Labs, ATII, and there's another one. Skull Games. All right, I don't personally know Skull Games, but this guy seems like a cool dude, and he said Skull Games, so I'm gonna go with that as well.
And you said
ATII,
ATII?
yeah. It's run by Larry Cameron, if you look him up on LinkedIn.
Okay, cool, thanks, man.
Yep. That one's a good one, yeah. Any other questions? Sure. Most interesting thing I found on Shodan? Probably, I don't actually know. I would probably have to say there is a aircraft maintenance tunnel, and you could see the trucks that bring the food, they go fast, they fly, and you can there's a exposed IP web camera, and you could just watch them go back and forth. I don't know, it's not something really crazy or anything, but I don't know, I thought it was weird.
Do you ever get into any of the open elastic databases via Shodan?
I don't have any familiarity with those, but I'm sure you can find them there. So am I going to start telling knock-knock jokes? Or is it time for me to head down? All right, thank you guys.